This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
A very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast. And this weekend, it's Champions Weekend. Some tremendous top-class flat racing action in store. And who better on the show this week to go through our best bets and chew the fat through the TV races than John Lang, Quentin Franks, and he's back, Neville Ender. You're gonna put plenty of input into Ascot, aren't you, Neville?
Nothing whatsoever. I think Baid should be in the first three. That's my input.
Yes. If I made that statement, I would be one of the few people that could get that out of the three, along with Golf Club and a few others.
You've got to admire him, though, haven't you, for running him?
Yeah.
I mean, what have they got? They've got everything to lose and nothing to gain.
Well, I'm pissed off they didn't go elsewhere. Really, do you know? If you were mine, I'd have gone in the Breeders' Cup. I'd have took him to the Breeders' Cup, and just a spectacle to finish where the ground had been fast. The mile and a half Breeders' Cup. Do his, he'd have lagged up in that. It's easy, tight turns, easy track. He's got too much foot. It'd have been a spectacle, and that would have been, I think, the perfect.
If it had been mine, he would have been retired.
Well, no.
There's nothing to be gained.
If it had been mine, it would have been sold.
Yeah, I'd sell him to Shadwell. 50 million. Well, I'd want to keep a little bit of him.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway.
Onwards and upwards. Our best bets time now. This is where we give you some ammo, which you might decide to back yourself, or you might not. You might think we're talking rubbish, but this is the best part of the show where we give our best ammo. So I'll tell you what, chaps. I'll kick us off this week, and I'm going to go to Leopardstown. It's in the 420 race, which is a listed the Trigo Stakes. Don't know how it's pronounced, but. Goody Two Shoes is the favourite at 9-4, and that is where I'm going. I think this filly's a really, really, really good filly. Missed the break by about 60 lengths at Killarney and came through and won God knows how. And then I liked her last time because she improved a lot from that in terms of nous, and she broke better. And she beat one of her rivals today, Monaseeb, and is actually £2 better off for doing so. Punchestown. She did it rather cosily. Jockey just hands and heels in the closing stages as he got the runner up. She got the run up. Sorry, under her spell, and she's drawn in 12, which might not be ideal, but because she broke well last time, I don't think it's a problem. I think she'll be out and away and get a nice position early. And she is better than listed class, definitely. This is lovely placing this actually because. The fillies and mares get £5 in this, and I think that's great, obviously, because it's higher levels you get just £3, but £5 here is lovely for the fillies allowance, and I think that's why she's going to take the world of beating. So 9-4 for me. Goody Two Shoes. That's with Denise, the slut from Stoke. 1 point win. Goody Two Shoes to kick us off. Okay, Quentin, coming to you.
My third best bet, Lee. I've named this bet. I've named it Two Dogs and an Ardad. The reason for it is it's the 14-10 at Catterick. And, well, there's two dogs in the race, one being Graceland's Girl, the other one being The Way to the Stars. Graceland's Girl just doesn't want to know at the moment. She chucked it away at Musselburgh. Chucked it away at Redcar. Like, you put her under pressure, she'll fold. In the same Musselburgh race, The Way to the Stars did exactly the same thing. High head carriage, hung, and she took a step forward on the numbers, but no, can't have her. So the one I'm going to go with here is the George Scott trained Shin Sao Gui.
Well pronounced.
That. The Angle Windsor races, she's by Ardad, sire who does poorly on the all weather, 6 from 137, 4.4% strike rate, 0.48 actual over expected. Turf runners, 44 from 404, 10.9% on the strike rate. Actual over expected, 0.89, but obviously an upgrade in terms of surface. Blew out the other day at Wolverhampton, quite happy to just strike a line through the race in all honesty. Good kid claiming 5 up. She looks a grinder that will be suited by turf. Top of the market, there's a Vanna Gold. Sire's not particularly great on soft ground. And then you've got the Grant Tour horse, who was on the right part of the track on debut at Catterick, dead in the market when winning at Newcastle. That race looked weak enough, to be honest, and the time was poor. 6-1 is worth 1 point win. Fantastic reason. That's why we've got you on the show. Really good reason. That loved it. Looked like listening to that. 6-1. 1 point win. That's with, again, the slip from Stoke. Or Treble 8 Sport, if you can lucky enough to get an account with them. Though I do believe if you go to there, they give racing G-lays out if you bet 20 quid. We bet 888, and we got one. We actually did that. Just got a 20 quid and they got a racing G-lay. Fantastic. Anyway. You really wanted to know that, didn't you? Right, so Shinso Gui, pronounced brilliantly by Quentin Franks. It's probably not the right pronunciation, but it's still nice. That kicks Quentin off for the round. Nevillender, I've got a feeling you might have a bet at Catterick.
Really? Oh, did it? Yeah. Cole Henry about.
Yes. Where your last gamble, yes. Neville, of course, won 6 figures with his absolute.
Only $250,000.
Monster punt on Cole.
You could only get 10 grand each way on with the slip from wherever.
Yeah. People that say you can't train, like people, it's one in the eye. You keep jabbing them in the eye with this. Every now and again, Neville quietly away. No winners for 5, 6 months, 7 months. Then bang, and it's like a silent assassin.
Well, you stop a horse 10 times and you just get him ready for one race.
Look at that BHA press office. You stop an horse 10 times. Let's have him. Right.
Right. No, Catterick is not on my radar at all. Soft ground as well. Well, not tomorrow anyway. Third best bet, excuse me, going to Newton Abbot, 405. One of my favourite horses of last year runs in this race, but I'm actually going to oppose him, which I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I really do like Pick Doherty, but he's a bit unreliable, he's a bit inconsistent, or rather he's consistent in being inconsistent. Rated 153, he's had his win done, but he's got to give a lot of weight to one who has never jumped fences in public, but is from a very shrewd yard, Jeremy Scott. Year in and year out, he comes up with something above average, in the 130s, 140s. And last year, this mare called Kiss for Katie improved no end, and she ended up being 142 over hurdles. Now, I think this is a great bit of placing this because he's got to get in all the weights have just been framed so well for her. I'm not for one moment expecting her to be able to run to 142 on a first start over fences, but if you can run to about 128, 130, she's going to take a lot of beating. Kiss for Katie. There are only 4 runners, which is a good thing. Pick Doherty, I've already said, is inconsistent. I don't like Gladiator Allen. I don't think he's certainly conceding £19 looks a massive ask when there would be £10 in favour of Kiss for Katie over hurdles. And Legends Ride is a good mare, but I can't see her conceding the weight. If Kiss for Katie can translate most of her hurdles form to fences in what appears for me to be just a match, I think at around the 5-2, I think she's worth chancing. Kiss for Katie, third best, 405 Newton Abbot.
No. Never. You're pinching prices again. You won in the ball market. 9-4, generally available.
Who's that with?
Everyone, generally, anyone who you like, go across the board. There's no 5-2. There's 0.
These 9-4s. Do I have to have affordability checks?
Yeah.
For
Yes.
my 1 point.
Yeah.
If it gets to 3 points, do you have to have affordability checks?
Nev, I remember you're the type in the old board marker days when the old board you were watching like an eagle eye and you thought, at Kempton they bet. It's 9-4, and it's like before the board marker can write it. Say if they were slow, you'd be like 5-2, and you up to the counter.
Well, didn't everybody?
You're having a bit of the fun. We'll not go there. Right, so Nev starts off 9-4 kisses for KT. Take your point about Pete Doherty. He's either 175 or 105. So you 9-4 could be a little bit of value there. Cheers, Nev, for that. Kicking us off. John, last but not least.
Probably is least, actually. But anyway.
You did yourself there.
I'm off to Catterick for my third best bet. It's in the 350, and it is Black Friday, which...
Fucking aft.
Kind of works well with the day we've had today.
Yeah. What I've been listening to earlier, I think it's probably a tip in itself. I'm not too clever this year, but he spent most of the year running on ground that's a bit too quick for him. He's dropped in the ratings as a result, with Larson taking 5 off as well. He's now about £15 lower than a mark he could possibly still win off if everything got right. The ground appears to have come just about spot on for him. He's nicely drawn. I think he's in 4. Given the way the race is likely to pan out, he ought to be in the box seat turning in. And if he can't go close in this, they really should be thinking about putting a bullet through him, to be honest.
Poor old Black Friday.
It's a veterans race, so I mean, he's getting ready for that stage anyway. And this being a veterans race, at least you won't bump into anything much on the upgrade because they've all had the cocks out for inspection over the years, haven't they? So there we go.
Just side subject. Why is a veterans race 6-year-old plus? Why is a 6-year-old on the flat considered a veteran?
6 is really old for the flat.
Is it?
Not really, but you know.
It's all I can afford to buy whenever I bought horses. Anyway, right. So Black Friday for John. Good case, John. With Frederick Larson. I like Frederick Larson. Good £5 kid. Prices. 8 is there, John, with the Stoke Meister. So
beautiful.
Yes. So you always kick off with her, don't you? So 8-1 for John. That completes the round of the 1 point bets. I'll swing it straight back round, John. I'm coming to you again then for your 2-pointer.
My next bet is somewhat controversial, I would say, and will probably leave criticism, which we very much welcome on this show.
Yes.
And that is in the big one tomorrow, the 4 o'clock at Ascot. And I am taking on the favourite, Baid.
Yes.
With Sir Michael of Stout Bay Bridge.
Yeah.
Now, Baid was obviously well suited to 10 on quick at York. This might just be a bit different bag of spanners for him, though. He's drawn on the fence. They'll probably try and get at Jim a bit and mess him about a bit, hopefully. I think this one probably found the ground the shade quick in the Princess of Wales at the Royal meeting. Then he showed all the hallmarks of not having taken his race too well. I thought he ran up a little bit late prior to the eclipse. He's given him stacks of time to get over that. For me, there was little need to bring him back for one run unless he's expecting a performance of sorts. Bounce back to the Brigadier Gerard form. For me, would have him rating him with last year's Derby winner. I'd fancy him to probably beat that one given the likely conditions. Obviously, Bain could be on another level even on this ground. But I don't see much point fearing one horse when you're getting double digits each way.
Yeah, I knew you'd wanker in that, but rightfully so. I think if you're opposing by it makes sense. I mean, 11's each way a pleasure. I can't argue with any of that at all. And certainly, I'll have my 2 penneth when it comes to the preview preview round one with previewing the TV races. Good selection, John. 1 point each way by Baybridge. 11-1 with Unibet. 11-1 by Eden, be nice. 11-1 Unibet and 888. So good stuff there, John. Neville, back to you for more jumps action.
Maybe. Yes, it is actually. Stratford 140 is a race for female jockeys and some very good female riders in this race. I think they're all either made it or are very promising. The best of them all rides the most probable winner. Seamus Mullins' Van Rouge has improved greatly for his summer on the fly. He won at Lingfield, he won at Kempton off ratings of 62 and 67, which took him up to 70. He started his jumps campaign at Fontwell off 77. I backed him that day. I thought if he's only £7 above his flat rating over the jumps, then he must take the world to beating. And he did win. Didn't win as easy as I thought he would, but he did win. He beat a gambled on horse called Pittsburgh, and he is now rated 84. He's £7 higher, but he's got the services of Gina Andrews, who I think I'm right in saying is the winning most point-to-point rider of all time. Certainly in the ladies division, she is. She's exceptional, and the opposition is pretty weak. I could only find maybe one or two that you could give half a chance to. The others look fairly moderate. The odds aren't going to be great, but if I'm going to have three selections, two of them are probably going to get beat, but this one should win. So I want at least one banker. So I'm going to go 2 points, Van Rouge, 140 at Stratford. Looks nailed on.
7-4 with Billy Mountains and Bet Victor.
Maybe. I think you've got to round them up to 2-1, haven't you? These.
I love it when Neville look at prices and thinks, well, this should be about 4-1, and it's like 6-4.
Yeah.
I love it, absolutely love it. But yeah, I mean, I just looked at Gina's strike rate, 24%. I mean, it's under rules.
Exceptional rider.
Under rules as well. So yeah, I take your point with that. It does that looks a really good bet, to be honest. Only thing that would worry me, maybe or potentially could get
Trip.
that beat. Dropping back in trip and lack of pace, 0 pace in the race, nil, nada. So you just wonder if it might become too tactical.
Very rare though at Stratford you don't get any pace.
Yeah, perhaps yeah. Look, I mean,
in a kind of amateur stroke professional race, there's always a good pace. I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It wouldn't be on my biggest worry, but I'd rather it was over 2.5, but.
Yeah. I mean, Stratford is sharp, and that's the only thing that I think that's the only thing that gets you beat. Like just a farce of a race, some kind of farce. But she's probably too experienced to.
Yeah, and the trainer's in great form as well.
Absolutely, Seamus Mullins. I mean, the carrots there are strong at the moment.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks, Ned, for that. 7-4. Good stuff. Quentin, coming to you.
My 2 point bet, Lee, comes in the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton. Horse I bet last time out, Amber Dew. She ran at Southall, and I thought 5 furlongs, she can possibly get away with this. Well backed in the market, went off a solid enough 6-1. Missed the beat at the start, and it was kind of game over from there. The race developed away from her that day, but there were signs of life towards the end. She was keeping on it to death and shaped as if return to 6 would suit. Previously, she had ran Lucky Man, who's now mid to high 90s, close over 6 furlongs at Southall, clocking a fair number for the grade. And then similar, she ran really well in a listed race at Chelmsford, posted 3 deep all the way round, and kind of just found out in that company, and also the extra distance covered telling late. That said, she's got decent numbers on the clock. Returned to 6 furlongs on the all weather. Not loads of pace on her. I think they'll punch forward from stall 1 here. Race doesn't look that deep. In all honesty, I'm quite happy to have her on side. I think Haggis is a poor price. Income, not sure what the trip is. Hello Me pulled far too hard at Chelmsford last week. Yeah, 15-2 with Billy Mountains. More than fair for me. 2 points win.
Indeed. Interesting filly, really, because I was sort of surprised that this filly was sold, because Beckett seemed to have found the key to her before the sales. demolished Flash Betty at Salisbury, and then wasn't beaten far by Ribeye next start. And prior to that, she'd looked an absolute cow. They put the blinkers on, and honestly, I was striping her. She went off 15-8 and 7-4 2 runs prior to that. I can remember having strong layers on her because I knew she was a complete cow. And then all of a sudden, after that win, you think, geez, that's the key. Whatever they've done, the key. And there's an engine in this filly somewhere, isn't there? There's a real engine.
Yeah, they're away from everything at Salisbury. Everything else was on the rail. She was kind of in the middle of the track, and that seemed to suit her. But she's shown that doesn't have to be the case. Since she's been with Scott Dixon, but as you say, I think she got sold for 25,000 or something.
Yeah, I mean, so they obviously thought 25,000. I mean, I thought that was a reasonable pump because she just might have just turned a corner there after that win at Salisbury. So, but yeah, it could be an interesting bet, that 15-2. Like it. Good stuff. So Amber due for Quentin, second best. On to me then. Okay. I'm going to 240 at Ascot, which is the Fillies and Mares, and I am extremely keen on Emily Upjohn. And there's a reason why. Primarily, John Gosden has got an when I say incredible, this is probably one of the most hidden systems that people don't really talk about very much, or I don't read much about it. It's when he puts the hood on for the first time. It's just an incredible statistic. Nearly 28%. It's 1.49 AE. It makes 94 points to industry SP. Clearly, the man knows what he's doing when he sticks the hood on. And obviously, this filly was far too keen in the King George. I backed her in the King George. I was swayed by Quentin early season on how strong Quentin was on her in the Musidora. I can remember Quentin saying this will win the Musidora and then she'll go on to win the Oaks. Well, unfortunately for Quentin, it wasn't Shorthead Franks on the on the day. She was short-headed by Tuesday. Nash were in third. Listen, this is a good race and it's a nice race, and it is. Yeah, but none of these fillies, not one of them, I would have backed any of these fillies to be either first or second in the Oaks. Not one. So when you've got that kind of record, and it's a good draw, it's not a bad draw either. It's all 10, lovely. We all know that the inside at Ascot is dead on the round track. So the draw's good, stats are good. Dettori's chosen it. It's 4-1. Who'd have said that this would be a bigger price to win a race like this? Which, bearing in mind, there's not many sort of like what you would call definite 100% Group 1 fillies in here. This is a Group 1 filly. I know the Oaks form will be crabbed and say, well, it's not that good. But, I mean, come on, Nashwa. Tuesday was beaten a length by Alpinista at York in the Yorkshire Oaks. I'm sorry, but this is a wrong price. And 4-1, you need to muller because this will look enormous, I think, come tomorrow. And so 2 points win on the nose, 4-1, Emily Upjohn. Thank you. Okay, best bets time. Who shall I go to first? Quentin Franks, I'm coming to you.
My best bet, Lee, it comes in the 17.25 at Wolverhampton. I'm going to put up the Alan King trained. I've forgotten the name. Where are we? Zodiac Star. Came from the same race as a couple of the market leaders. We Could Be Heroes and Stand Strong here. But Alan King, first time out, 2 from 127, 1.6%, 0.32 actual over expected. They generally come on massively for the run. Far too green to do himself justice that day. Like he's going to leap forward leaps and bounds for this. It's a race I liked as the whole. We Could Be Heroes, Ribchester Sire, I don't particularly like on your weather. Physically, he's a better type than Zodiac Star, but had already had the benefit of a run when they were going into the Salisbury race early in July. Stand Strong, I think, is going to be more of a turf grinder. He looked slow behind Blanche Land last time out at Newcastle when having a run of the race. And then you've got the Haggis horse that had the run of things, a very steadily run race at Newmarket last time out. I think the wind was slightly behind as well, which benefited him. Given the progression that generally comes from the yards, greenness showed. He's out of a Galileo mare, step up in triple suit. I make him a good deal shorter than the 6.13 to 2 on offer.
Yeah, I think we can get some 13 to 2. I like your reason. And Stevie Donoghue on the old Haggis horse. I mean, there's every chance old Stevie might take a pull because we know the Haggis operandi when it comes to his horses. He always runs his horses over the wrong tracks, the wrong trips. You know, not drastically so like Prescott, where he's running 1.5 mile horses over like 6 furlongs. It's sort of like, well, you know, he runs them over 10 at Ripon when they need 14 at Doncaster, that kind of thing. And it's and they're off. They actually run on the merits, but you know for a fact that there's absolutely much more to come. And Haggis is very shrewd, so I like your reasoning for Zodiac Star there. So 13 to 2. That's with William Hill and 888. So I looked at a Taj and thought, you know, not, you know, I'm not convinced you're there to do your absolute 100% best. So yeah, I like your best bet. 13 to 2. Get on. Quentin's nap. Neville, coming back to you.
Okay, nap selection is at Market Raisin, and with the ground being good, if it did absolutely hammer it down, and I don't know what the forecast is for Market Raisin on Saturday. If it did hammer it down, I'd be slightly concerned. But 227 Market Raisin, Key Havar of Adrian Keatley's. In fact, on saying that, I don't think the ground would be too much of a problem because it did run well at Weatherby on heavy ground one day. Key Havar finished second on his reappearance over the track, running on over 2 miles. He'd been busy on the flat for virtually the whole of the summer, and prior to that he was on the go quite a lot for the previous national hunt season, so he clearly stands his racing well. He's actually got up to a mark of 85 on the flat, which for a horse that can run off 100 mid to low 123, 125 he runs off tomorrow, so that fits in well with his flat rating. And it's very hard to, apart from perhaps Alan King's Harbour Lake, who will almost certainly go off favourite, it's very hard to put up too many others that could win the race. Harbour Lake was most progressive last season. I don't think they particularly fancied him when he made a winning debut at Weatherby, won at 9 or 10 to 1 that day. And his only defeat came when he got brought down, but he was beaten at the time at Huntingdon. But the question mark for me regarding the favourite, and he will be favourite, there's no doubts about it, this Harbour Lake will go off market leader. All his form has been when there's been plenty of cut in the ground, and also it would appear that his highest ratings have been gained, certainly on Racing Post ratings, have been over. They've been over tomorrow's trip, but I don't know. I think Key Havar might be just time to catch him when he's absolutely race fit, whereas Harbour Lake probably will. I mean, Alan King's not going to send a horse unfit, but he just might not be as sharp as Key Havar for tomorrow. I'm going to put a line through most of the others. The third favourite is going to be Zanzar, who is predominantly a chaser. And a rather unreliable chaser.
Temperament went the wrong way with Zanzar last year, didn't it?
Yeah. So although I am fearful of Harbour Lake, I'm going to go for Key Havar because I just think he's just going to be sharper, and he's certainly won't be favourite. He's got to be 4 to 1 in anybody. Got to be
3 to 1. 3 to 1, Neville. 3 to 1. You know, this is not the 80s, right? 3 to 1 for Nev, generally available as well, Key Havar, and he makes a very good case. Harbour Lake is a lovely prospect. Would have definitely improved for a summer.
If you could take one horse home for the future, it's Harbour Lake.
Harbour Lake physically looks
it's
tremendous.
Tomorrow that I'm more concerned.
Exactly, and it's Market Raisin. So it's, it's not probably the most ideal track for something that's probably going to make a lovely 3-mile chaser in time. And Harbour Lake's one to watch, and Nev is very confident on Qipco, which did shape well. I agree, Nev. Shaped very well last time out at Market Racing. Ran really well from the back, which is not the place to be. So hopefully they'll go a little bit handier. 3-1 for Nev's Nap for his 3 points. Thank you, Neville. Okay, John, I'm coming to you.
Best bet. Well,
yes, roll.
Yeah, I feel a little bit of a Tom Munt for putting this up, to be honest, because it has been discussed, not quite to death, but it has been discussed quite a bit on the pod of late, and that's Castle Star in the 2 o'clock at Ascot.
Ooh, sorry, I forgot to mention this. Yes, we have 2. Sorry, John, to interrupt, but I should have probably said this at the start of the show, where we've 2 bets running on to today. Nick's Davis as betting the Balmoral, where he took 20-1 about Blue for you in the 440 race, the Balmoral. 8-1 available now, but 20s for Nick on last week's show. And obviously, IT was on the show a while ago and tipped up Castle Star for the champion. So just to mention that as well, because obviously, but now currently 22-20. So John, are you tipping Castle Star?
I am. I think you might remember at the time I did say to AC when he was on the show, I'd rather fancied it to put in a performance here, and the reason being, he really caught the eye last time out, and Spencer waited for the gap in front of him to close before making a move. He wouldn't have beaten Highfield Princess from where it was placed, but he might well have been second. He's not had his ideal conditions on many occasions. He's had 40 seats held up at the Curragh on ground quicker than ideal. Last year he ran perfect power to half length, quicker than ideal in the middle park. Neville Power's drawn right next to him and created fast close by, so I think there's every chance of the main action developing near him. All the brand would never be more appropriate than it tends to be here. Swap on the firm pace and pace. And you won't know whether you're set up for Islamic in a time zone.
Yeah.
Well overpriced, and I'm going to have to go 1.5 points each way.
Good stuff. Yep. No, love that. Obviously, I see mentioned that a while ago, and John absolutely love the case. John at that price, 22s, loving it. So that's with William Hill, Bet Victor, Coral, and Unibet. Okay, coming on to mine. It's like Icy's like a ghost of the show, really, isn't it? And he's leaving his mark. We go to the 125 at Ascot, the Stayers race. My best bet is Waterville at 4-1. William Hill, Bet Victor, Betway. This horse, I couldn't believe won at the Curragh. I couldn't believe this horse actually got up at the Curragh in the Irish Says. I genuinely felt that it was a task to looking at it 3 out. I thought you've no chance, absolutely no chance. And I was asked the question on last week's sermon whether I would back Waterville at current prices. And I sort of said, well, you've got a St. Ledger winner in Idar Eldarov. You've got Truesham. So all of a sudden you're thinking, maybe not, but then I looked at one key piece of information, which sometimes just changes your mind. Waterville ran the last 3 furlongs with not a clean run either. Had to wait for a run and switched in 34.51 on yielding ground. That's a serious horse to do that. So although sometimes something can look visually impressive when they come from off the pace, it can usually be like a fast pace or something like that. This horse did it in 34.51. Kyprios in its entire life has not run faster than 34.34 for the last 3 furlongs in any race, and that includes 112% at Goodwood this summer on ground quicker than good. Right, so we need to put this in perspective. This was a serious a bit of foot. 34.51 on yielding ground at the Curragh for the last 3 furlongs, not with a clean run. So now we've got a horse that literally is 100% a proper Group 1 stayer, right? I'm not saying it's a Kyprios. I'm not saying, I don't know. It might be. I don't know. But what at the odds with Trushan and what John said in the past about Holly settling Trushan, can you imagine Holly being carted round again, John? 2 miles at Ascot. Ida Elderov, you have to question the Ledger form. I'm not so sure that the Ledger form is all that. And Waterville, with that sectional, says to me that this is an untapped stayer. I mean, they always touted it as a Derby horse, a Morning Glory, if you remember earlier in the season. So this is going to be a big bet for me tomorrow. I'm rowing in at 4-1 with this. 3 points win. Get on. That completes the round. Applause. Neville, are you leaving me now?
Yes, I actually like Water. I'm with you. I couldn't believe how he won from such an unpromising position, and he had to. Was it Wayne Lorden that rode him?
Yes.
And he just, I thought, what a stinking ride he'd given him, and yet he showed a good turn of foot. My one worry would be that, that was a handicap. Was it the Irish Cesarewitch or something?
It is, but the times don't like 30. I had to double check. 34.51 for the last when Kyprios. So Trushan did a slower last 3 furlong time at Goodwood in the Goodwood Cup than Waterville did on yielding in the Irish says.
It was visually it was a brilliant performance, but from handicap to Group 1. Well, it's Group 2 actually, isn't it? I haven't got the race up, but I think it's a Group 2, isn't it, tomorrow?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
It might just as well be a Group 1, isn't it?
So yeah, I mean, so this is it. I mean, this literally is. It's a wrong price on that. I'd like to see a stayer in this race that could run 34.51 on yielding ground for the last 3 furlongs, not with a clean run. There isn't one in this race.
I agree. He was a phenomenal, and I can remember that at the start of last season, Aidan O'Brien said he's got a Derby horse that has never run, and it turned out to be this one. But he's taken a lot of time before he's really come to hand, hasn't he?
Yeah. Waterville. Well, that's it. He was always the Morning Glory. They were touting him. This could even make the Derby, and then all of a sudden it just didn't. It didn't transpire, and he kept getting beat. But the trip seems to be the making of him. And this again, who knows? This could rival Kyprios down the line. So Waterville, yes, an interesting choice. Right, Neville, piss off, and we'll start discussing the flat action now.
That's so nice of you. Thank you.
Love you, Nev. Good night, mate. Right, onwards and upwards then to the telly races. The telly box races are where me, Quentin, and John will go through all the Ascot races, basically. Okay, 125 Ascot, the long distance cup. Obviously, I've just discussed. So I'll leave this to you, Quentin and John. What was saying?
I'm kind of in your camp, Lee, to be honest. I kind of feel Waterville's being underestimated for the reason that Nev said. He's coming from a handicap into a group race.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel it's something that the markets underestimate. You got Trushan at the top of the market, obviously a class horse. You got this small field, lack of pace on, as John said in the past, Holly getting carted. I'm not too keen on the Ledger form, in all honesty. I've not been too keen on Elder of all season. You've mentioned the back end sectionals, even more so at the Curragh, a track that it's hard to come from behind. I thought Waterville would kind of be 5-2 second favourite here. Wide draw, which will suit. You don't want to be down that dead rail. 4-1 looks big.
Yeah, I'd be sort of like 2-1 Trushan, 9-4 Waterville, that kind of range. John,
if this country was a true meritocracy. And we were all starting from the same point with the same chances in life.
Yeah.
Waterville would have been a slightly bigger price to win the Irish Cesarewitch than Liz Truss would have been in a race to be Prime Minister. to be in the first 15 million. So I have to be impressed with Waterville. He damn near achieved the impossible, didn't he? I think I've got to go in with Waterville.
Yep, so it's a unanimous decision, not a klaxon, because no one else put it up, but it's a unanimous decision on the bar stewards. The Champions Sprint then, stakes, 5-1 Creative Force, 11-2 Art Power. This is a competitive race, chaps. I mean, I was really struggling with this. I know John has come up with a really good choice, really, in Castle Star. And you've got Icy's on it, John's on it. Quentin, where are you at with this?
I wanted something drawn low, like they kind of came across last year. Art Power last year ended up on the wing, wrong part of the track, shaped a lot better than the bare result there. It's obviously kind of had the whole season mapped around this, to be honest. Big figure on the clock at the Curragh made it look simple there. It'll be, I suspect from 8, they'll just try and bounce out and make, or obviously it's not the thing you really want at Ascot, but given where a few others are drawn, I don't mind that too much. I thought, is there still 6-1 around?
11-2, yeah. 6 is under pressure. It's gone. It's now 11. I did look at Art Power as well because I know it was a weaker race, and obviously he should have done that, but it was an impressive it was a demolition job. He just absolutely demolished them. He ate them. He looked in savage order, to be fair. The one thing that worry me though, tomorrow, just for punters as well, there is sort of a southwesterly tomorrow, which is sort of like about a third in the faces. So what you just mentioned there, Quentin, about, you can see like Thick Dave just bouncing out and getting on with it. There might just be a bit of wind resistance there for a front runner, which, again, coming back to John's bet, Castle Star with Spencer on, it might get the right sort of ride, maybe.
Food for thought.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, 16's quite strong if that's true. 16 mile an hour. That will stop front runners, especially if they bound off too quickly. So yeah, maybe Art Power might not be suited by the wind direction tomorrow. Okay, we'll move on to the 240, the Champions Fillies and Mares, and Emily Upjohn. I've obviously gone for, plumped for. I mean, there is a chance she might have gone, and there is a chance, that could have been it. Her form peaked and plateaued, and that it's one of them. I wouldn't back her each way. It's one of them. I think she either comes back right to her very best and has too much for these, or bombs out. What's Quentin? I'll come to you first for thoughts on this.
Emily Upjohn, I like the angle. I like the draw of her Eternal Pearl, kind of good back end sectionals at Newmarket last time out. Lack of pace in the race tomorrow though, and drawn on the insides, kind of worrying. Ashada looks short enough. I'm going to take a flyer, probably just a small win and place, not a full bet, on Alba Flora bouncing back. Hasn't shown her hand this season. Very strong in the market at Chester first time out, and just totally blew up. Potentially an issue given she wasn't seen until the May. Ended up 3 deep around there. Good Ascot form, solid figures on the clock. I can't be letting her run free it. I think she's going to be 33-1, circa around that sort of price. Ground will be no bother at all. Should be able to get one off the rail. As I said, lack of pace in the race, so a handy sit will probably be no bad thing. I'm going to have a small dart at her. It looks a race for me, but bar Emily Upjohn, that I want to have a stab at a big price selection.
No, that's a fair shout as well, 25-1, because this mare obviously was second in this race last year to Ashada, and obviously now doesn't have to give the weight for age to Ashada either. So 25s, you make a great case there, Quentin, and yeah, an interesting choice. Wouldn't rule that out, especially if Emily Upjohn decides to bomb out and goes rabid. John?
I rather like the other John Gosden horse, Mimikyu, who won the Park Hill at Doncaster. I thought this absolutely wiped the floor with Ashada. Ashada might not be quite the same horse as last year, but I got the impression this filly's going the right way. She stays really well. Got a bit of substance to her. Looks very straightforward to ride. So might not have too many worries with Rab in the saddle. I think she's probably got as much potential as anything in the race, really, to improve. You know, I mean, we've seen what Emily Upjohn can do at her best. I just have a feeling that Ascot race was a bit of a clue to where her temperament might be at. And I'd want to see her do something better than that before I wanted to back her. This other one's just looks a bit more straightforward to me.
Yeah, okay. I mean, does not the inside draw worry you a bit? Like Stall One's an absolute death cart for the 12, especially in big fields.
It's got Rob Havley down. I'm not going to worry about the draw.
I've got a stat for you that will worry you in a bit, but I'm going to announce it in the champion. We're going to move on to the QE2 in Spiral 5-4. I struggled to get anything in from this race from a betting point of view because I thought the prices were about bob on. Literally, it's literally how I priced it. I can't really have Tempest at 20. That's not an horse I'm interested in with Ollie on. Thoughts on this?
I think you're either with or against in Spiral, aren't you, really? I mean, it looks very hard to pick out an each way alternative because I wouldn't say there's a genuine rock solid option there. I mean, the Revenant looks as though he's a little bit on the downgrade now.
Definitely, yeah.
Never entirely convinced by modern games. I don't know why. I just can't really take to the horse. Similar to yourself, I wouldn't fancy Tempest with Ollie on. Maybe you do me, but I don't feel compelled to have a bet. I think Inspiral will probably win it. But I don't think they're giving anything away at the price.
No, I think the prices are bang on. Quentin?
My initial view was to kind of try and get Inspiral beat. It had that kind of make-up of the race. She's draw 9, the pace is the other side on the straight course. Modern Games next to her, like Frankie potentially not getting in and having her hung out. You kind of go through the race. Modern Games, soft ground run over 10, probably did a bit too much too soon over in France. But it's a fast ground horse, and I think there'll be plenty of digging there tomorrow. The Revenant, as John said, is on the downgrade. If I had to have a punt, you've kind of been waiting for Check and Challenge to get on soft ground. Ran well on soft last time out. I'd probably have a small place bet on that. But as you said, the prices look about bang on, to be honest. So yeah, not as itching to get a beat as I was when I initially looked at the race.
Yeah, pretty much where I'm at, Quentin, to be fair. Okay, the Champions Stakes, by either 1-4 favourite. Normally we'd be just skipping this race and saying this wins, but I'm going to give a killer stat here. So we all know that Stall 1 is terrible for sort of 10, 12 furlongs Ascot. Now, you might put that down to like water in the trees, whatever. If you just wider out, you get that better ground early. Maybe I don't know. It's difficult to explain why it is, but it's a bias that's existed for a long time. Stall 1 over 10 and 12 furlongs at Ascot on ground softer than good is 8 from 134. So it's 0.62. So in other words, for every winner you expect, you at 10 winners you're going to get 6. So it's not good. This is interesting though, right? This is the killer stat, and this is incredible, right? Group races since 1998. So we're going back 23 years, 24 years. 0 from 50 is Stall 1, with an expected winners of 5. The types of runners beaten from this trap were Magical, 13.08, Crystal Ocean, 11-4, Cirrus des Aigles, 9-2, Exosphere, 6-4, First 11, 11-10. And they've just beaten 34% of runners. So what that is a killer stat. Whatever you read on TV, it's actually been on ITV. Just tell them that stat. I mean, it's so now, does anyone feel comfortable out there at taking the 1-4 by Eid? Obviously, John Joe has come out tonight and stated his case for Bay Bridge, which I like because I think Bay Bridge is a better horse with a bit of cuss. I think you should look for some each way value in this, or potentially if you get any. I ain't seen any bookmaker markets at the moment, but there might be some distance markets for Bide to win, or basically either lay the ones that's excessive and back the ones that's just. I'm not saying Bide gets beat, because don't forget Bide's probably 135, 136. So the point is, Bide could probably run 9 or 10 pounds below form and win half a length. So that's what we're looking at here. I'm not saying Bide is a lay or anything. I'm just saying it's a terrible 1-4 shot. With that in mind, this is a stat that stood since no horse has won a group race at Ascot from stall 1 since I've collated data since 1998. So there you go, over 10 and 12 on ground softer than good. It's a killer stat, chaps. What do we think?
He's going to get a shit trip, isn't he?
Well, it's not going to. The other thing is, if it was going to lead, and there was no pace on, you'd say that stat's going to end up bullshit because, well, it's just going to lead and then win. But it's not going to lead. So they're going to Jim's going to settle it, take a pull, and that's it.
So then he's last, isn't he?
Yeah, or getting that way. So then you're backing an horse at 1-4 that seriously doesn't warrant being one. If someone told me a stat like that at 1-4, that'd be it. That's me out. I'm out. You don't need that in your life. You can back a 1-4 shot every day that's going to win by 15 lengths. You have to just pick the right ones. This isn't the right one. And I love Bide. Bide's a tremendous animal, and I'd love to see him win 12 wickets on his final run, but it's not going to happen. So they must have been horrified when they drew one. They're thinking, we've not stole one. You've got no manoeuvre. You literally you have to pop out, but then settle. But then there's horses around you. You've then got to manoeuvre gaps and stuff like that. For me, it's not going to look pretty. So even if it wins and scrambles up, whatever, I would sell the distances. Thoughts, chaps?
We should take him out.
2:32 p.m. withdrawal. For shithousery. I mean, he's going to put like probably 10,000 on the gate, maybe more. Imagine that, 2:32 by Eden runner.
It'd be fantastic.
You do that,
going.
Yeah. It's a John Lane racehorse trainer. Like I've pulled him out. Why have you pulled him out? Well, he didn't feel right this morning.
Stone Bros.
This is why we're bar stewards. So what? Right, John, I like your selection, Bay Bridge. I do. I think that was I was close to like sort of putting him up and then bottled it. Mainly because I'm trying to beat Richmond for Nap's crown, and I thought, well, it's like I'm just trying for best angles here. But yeah, I like him because he did the fastest sectional at Sandown this year. Only Emily Upjohn got close to Bay Bridge's sectional at Sandown. And I just think he's a genuine Group 1 horse, and he's finally got his conditions, and hopefully he'll be able to settle.
Yeah, I really say short have done well, but I'm pretty confident he's going to put up a performance in it tomorrow.
Yeah, Quentin.
I'm with you guys. Bay Bridge, everyone after Sandown kind of said Group 1 architectural stout improver, 4-year-old, etc., etc. And it was on soft ground. He put up a massive performance on soft ground, winning, I think it was a handicap at York earlier in the season. And then I think on the Ascot preview or the evening before or whatever, we all expressed kind of ground concerns about Bay Bridge. When he went to Ascot, turned up very fast. He was tips on and ended up getting beaten. John said it may have came too soon at Sandown in the Eclipse, but he's had a nice break, nice freshen up. This is his ground. If I can get levels about him coming in the top 3, I'll be rowing into that. I think there's a bit of 10 to 11 around now with one firm, but yeah, evens gets me to the party and it gets me to the party big.
Yeah, agreed. Just one negative, like obviously play devil's advocate, is obviously John's angle where he gets frustrated, where Ryan Moore rides everything that's, like of stouts, like major Group 1 horses. Ryan gets on them, and then Kingscourt's won on this at least, which is he sat on it, in a race, which is good. But again, John, you'd have just liked to have seen Kingscourt being on it, wouldn't you? Just last time.
I'm sick of saying this. It's absolutely pointless letting Ryan Moore anywhere near a Group 1 horse in that yard.
Yeah, and it's embarrassing now because they've claimed him. I mean, I think that's shit from them, to be honest. Like fucking Brand Magnier, Tabor, Smith, Westerberg. You can get fucked Stone Age. What idiots? Like we'll just. I mean, they should have said to Ryan, well, you may as well ride Bay Bridge, and we'll send over some, Padraig Begge over to ride Stone Age or something. Isn't it? Yeah. What idiots! I mean, I'd be fuming if I were Ryan Moore.
Yeah.
I mean, you've a chance really. If Bailly does run below form, Bay Bridge has a serious chance of winning that. And West get in the sea, Coolmore, idiots.
The retainer's big enough though, isn't it, for him to you can't really pick and choose. Like you paid a massive retainer.
I agree, but I mean, they've got a shelf life, these jockeys. I mean, Magnier, they'll plug into a machine and he'll live to 125. Ryan Moore will probably die of, malnutrition, in his 50s. And this is the thing, they don't care, brushed aside like some, So anyway, I'll move on. 440 Balmoral. Davis is in good form here. The blue car went out last week. Top 25 miles an hour around the streets of East Ham and went round several betting shops and smashed up Blue for You at 20s. He's a complete disgrace, that man. But he's done it. He's got the value. What's the feeling here in the Balmoral? I didn't see much pace.
Possibly not. I didn't myself, really. It could fall to the cockwatchers and Ross Coyle. That be ridden Hamilton Cornish, and that'll end the day on a sour note for everybody else.
Everyone gets Dixon to finish the Ascot meeting. Yes. So Ross Collin, I know what you're saying. Could be something that just nicks it.
Symbolise can run well here and goes handy as well.
But again, it could be negated by the headwind. It's not really a head. It's about a third. Looking, if it's southwest, like I say, I'd say that's about 1/3 headwind. So you're not getting. I don't know. It could pay to be just in behind the pace in this. Quentin.
With John symbolised, that's low enough draw for me. Ran cheek pieces on first time. Callan Hutchinson taking off the 5. He ran into Aldari last year on the wrong part of the track as well. Kind of circumstances haven't really gone his way this season. Ground far too fast in the Hunt Cup. It was small field at Thirsk. Donny shaped like he was coming to the boil. And then I think it's 2 weeks ago in that Challenge Cup, 7 furlongs, and just didn't really suit him. I think there's always a punt in this race. I think he'll be the punt, and 12-1 looks big to my eye.
Good stuff. Love it, chaps. Been a tremendous show. The disgrace that's Neville Ender has left the show early, and that's ruined it. But apart from that, it was good. And it's the show that's not totally shit. So like us and subscribe on YouTube also, because this is important. We might be able to buy a doner kebab each. If we get above 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, that will certainly get us a doner kebab each, which will be nice for contributors as we do the show. That's all from me, Quentin, and John, and fuck Nev. That's all from us. Bye for now.